It's Wednesday, November 22nd, 2023.
I'm David Ellis with the Ellis Report on Capital Media HD 99.3.
The controversy over the NIFCA disqualification of the theatrical production Speak Life appears to be heading to court. Attorney for Praise Academy, Davida Maynard-Holligan, says they remain unhappy with the way the matter has been handled.
The disqualification by the NCF of this piece on the grounds of discrimination therefore amounts to a ban of the expression of the Christian faith as it relates to topics of gender and sexual identity on a government-owned, tax-funded NIFCA or NCF stage, and marks one of the first known instances of the oppression of the manifestation of the faith in Jesus Christ in Barbados.
A professor of international relations is recommending that CARICOM should provide military support for Guyana in its border dispute with Venezuela. The recommendation is coming from Professor Mark Curtin, who also says that CARICOM should take Venezuela's intensifying aggression to the United Nations Security Council. In Trinidad, former top cop Gary Griffith has blamed Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley for the crime situation in that country.
You cannot swallow your ego, swallow your pride, and do what is right for the country. So the country must continue to drown in blood because of the failure of you, Keith Rowley, and the incompetence of your government to provide citizens with their fundamental right of safety and security.
In the U.S., the federal government is making COVID tests available to each household at no charge. This comes as the number of COVID hospitalizations there is increasing.
Data from the federal government show COVID emergency department visits are up. COVID hospitalizations are also up by nearly 9% in recent weeks. Health officials announced a new round of free rapid COVID tests. This is the 6th round of free COVID tests sent out by the government. The last round was in September.
In Jamaica, the government has pressed ahead with new legislation to crack down on crop theft, while the opposition is calling for it to be sent to a joint select committee for further consultation. Agriculture Minister Floyd Green says it's been too long in coming.
We have talked about it for years, Madam Speaker. What is needed now is action. And I ask that we resist any calls to delay this process. The farmers and our fishers deserve action.
Israel and Hamas have agreed a deal to release 50 hostages being held in Gaza during a 4-day pause in fighting. The start of that pause will be announced in the next 24 hours, and if successful, it will be the first break in fighting since October 7th.
Israel and Qatar say this will be a 4-day pause in fighting to allow for the entry of humanitarian aid into Gaza and the release of 50 of the roughly 240 hostages kidnapped on October 7th. They'll be exchanged for 150 Palestinian prisoners and detainees held in Israel.
Today's weather forecast: partly sunny with a few brief isolated light afternoon showers.
I'm David Ellis with the Ellis Report on Capital Media HD 99.3.